Hello and welcome to Election Brief with me, Araba Kumsin. And coming up today, Election Commission reveals it has registered minors and foreigners among the 16.9 million persons it has so far registered to vote on December 7.
We are aware that a number of minors have found their way into the register. We are confident that the challenge processes initiated at all districts throughout the country will unearth these illegal persons and rid the register of those who do not qualify to be thereon.
We'll hear from the EC chairperson, who is, however, assuring such persons will be removed before the elections. Also, governing MPP confident Ghanaian youth will vote to maintain the Akufo-Addo administration because of its interventions in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
These initiatives have and will significantly cushion the youth and improve upon their life standards, and I'm of a firm belief that they will vote massively for the new patriotic party.
And later, the woman in the spotlight will bring you reactions to U.S. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's choice of running mate Kamala Harris.
Joe Biden can unify the American people because he spent his life fighting for us. And as president, he'll build an America that lives up to our ideals. I'm honored to join him as our party's nominee for vice president.
Thank you for joining us from wherever you are. We are live from our studios in Kokomimle on digital address GA0992539. We are also on your digital TV, DSTV channel 421, GoTV 144, and on YouTube. You're welcome. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Electoral Commission says there are minors and foreigners among the 16.9 million persons it has so far registered to vote on December 7. Chairperson of the EC, Jean Mensa, however, assures such persons will be removed before the elections. The EC last week assured it is on course to deliver a credible election with a register comprising only Ghanaians. The Commission has today been given an update on the process so far. Jean Mensa is chairperson of the Commission.
It is evident that most of the challenge cases were from border regions, with the exception of Ahafo. And it gives reason to assume that the challenge cases relate to citizenship issues emanating from the infiltration of foreigners. At a later date, we will shed more light on our findings. The Commission is mindful of the infiltration of foreigners at a number of our registration centers. Additionally, we are aware that a number of minors have found their way into the register. We are confident that the challenge processes initiated at all districts throughout the country will unearth these illegal persons and rid the register of those who do not qualify to be thereon. We are confident that the register that will be used for the 2020 elections will be a wholly owned Ghanaian enterprise, reflecting qualified Ghanaians and Ghanaians only. I'll come to the important subject of the total number of registered voters at the end of day 36. That is the main registration exercise. We now come to the number of persons who registered as at day 36. The number of persons amount to or add up to 16,932,492. At the end of the two-day mop-up exercise, 30,814 persons had successfully registered as part of the 2020 voters registration exercise. In a nutshell, the total number of registered voters at the end of the 2020 voter registration exercise stands at 16,963,306.
So my colleague Joseph Akable was at that news conference. He joins us via Zoom with more on this. Joseph, we understand the Commission has been explaining how it will ensure that such ineligible persons are off the register. Tell us what they've been saying.
System, they make the point that they have some 30,000 plus cases that are pending being filed by various individuals challenging the eligibility of some persons who have been registered. And so those are the cases that they are pursuing. They expect that those individuals to show up and defend their citizenship for the fact that they are 18 years of age. And that is the process they intend to use to ensure that they clean the register once again.
Of deduplication and adjudication, which are currently ongoing, will flag multiple registrations in the system. Additionally, the challenge system put in place during the registration and exhibition exercise will further flag unqualified voters on the register. Ultimately, these processes will contribute to the cleaning of the register and ensure its integrity and credibility ahead of the 2020 election. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's Let the Citizen Know encounter. And before we take a bow, we would like to assure the good people of Ghana that as a commission, we are determined to put in place and ignite all mechanisms available to us to clean the register and rid it of all unqualified persons, i.e. minors and foreign nationals. We are confident that at the end of the day, we will present Ghanaians with a credible register that reflects Ghanaians only, a wholly owned Ghanaian endeavor.
Now, Joseph, you do remember that election observer group Codeo, in its assessment report, claimed that policemen were not at some registration centers. We understand the commission, one of the commissioners, Dr. Bosman Asare, has been responding to that. What did he say?
He makes the point that he has seen that report from Codeo and that they actually visited just about 300 of the registration centers. And he says the number of centers that registration took place were in excess of thousands. And so it's not a fair reflection of the situation on the ground.
And very finally, Joseph, you know, the commission made the point that it has detected minors and foreigners in the roll, the electoral roll. How did they detect that? Did they say? And how many of such people did they detect?
The AC chairperson did not put a figure to it, but in fact, he makes the point that this is information that we all know, according to her. He says it's in the public domain, and again explains that they have individuals who are monitoring the process from them all through the 36 days, and they have reported that this is the situation on the ground, so they are looking to carry out the investigation. All
right, many thanks, Joseph Akablay there. Now, the National Democratic Congress says provisional figures from the just-ended voter registration exercise show a reduction of 57,000 voters in the Ashanti region as compared to the figures in the old register. The party, however, says that the decrease on the voter roll enhances their own chances of increasing their fortunes in the upcoming elections. The region has proven loyal to the MPP, accruing over 76% of votes for the party in 2016. Regional Secretary of the NDC, Kwamizu, says a careful study of the figures show most of the constituencies with huge voter turnout have reduced significantly. He spoke to Lava Firm's Nana Aljima on the sidelines of an event to honor party agents in the Asawase constituency.
If you study the Kumasi Metro, all the constituency in the Kumasi Metro, mostly the Swame constituency, the Ofori-Krom constituency, and the Asokwa constituency, they have lost a pool figure of over 60,000. So if Asawase constituency, 2016, they had 103,000, and they have dropped to 101,000. That is just a shortfall of 2,000, as compared to these constituencies that have lost a pooled figure of over 60,000 in Kumasi. Previously, if you are rating the 11 constituencies in Kumasi, Asawase came fifth in terms of voter population. Today, Asawase is coming second. Asawase is coming second only after Kwabri East. So I am surprised to hear people peddling figures about for which they have decided to celebrate. There is nothing to celebrate about. The reality still insists that figures in non-strongholds of the NPP have dropped considerably, and figures in non-strongholds of the NDC has appreciated significantly. But in the ensuing days, we'll do a comprehensive analysis and publish for everybody who understands the dynamics to study accordingly.
Now, Member of Parliament Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak has rated the exercise as successful despite the pockets of violence recorded in some areas, including his constituency. He says the exercise has deepened the divide amongst the people there.
You know me and I know you. And today, because of resistance exercise, you say because of your party, you deliberately say, I should go through this frustration. I can tell you there have been so deep division in our community. And I can tell you that it's across the country. Because if you look at what's happening in Volta region, if you look at what's happening in Banda, look at what's happening in Kasua, our Kumsis area, nothing can describe this register than being a divisive register. It has divided us more. And I believe they've only created the sword that they are going to fall in. Because you see, for example, when you come to Ababo, Bolabola, and you are challenging blindly, I know a lot of people in Abolabola who are MPP, and you are challenging so blindly that to the extent that you are challenging your own. And many of them are honorable. I'm assuring you, I've never voted for you. But because of what they did, now you've assisted me to get my card. I will teach them a lesson. What can be more divisive than this? So this register, believe me, for a constituency like ours, for almost 1,200 people to go through tribunal, clearly, what else can be more divisive than this process? It's been very divisive. It's been very, very, very intimidating.
You're still here on Election Brief. Now, the governing MPP says it is confident the youth of the country will vote to maintain the Kufuor administration because of its interventions in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking at an event to commemorate the International Youth Day, National Youth Organizer Henry Nanabuache said the youth of the country have benefited immensely from all the interventions of the MPP. He spoke on the theme, youth engagement in mitigating the impact of COVID-19, the need for innovation and creativity.
Provide temporary income to support workers that are laid off and also facilitate their lifeline. Coronavirus alleviation, revitalization of enterprise support program as well. Mr. Chairman, these initiatives have and will significantly cushion the youth and improve upon their life standards. And I'm of the firm belief that they will vote massively for the new patriotic party. You remember that recently His Excellency the Vice President just opposed two scenarios where he said under former we've been focusing on building and enhancing the capacity of MPP youth. Again, we have also resourced through the party structures. We have also resourced the youth wing and the bridgings and the constituency. But as young persons, as our activities are more, we say that we have been resourced, but we need more to deliver. These initiatives have and will significantly cushion the youth and improve upon their life standards. And I'm of the firm belief that they will vote massively for the new patriotic party. The new patriotic party, that whatever it takes, any new strategy that we can come up with to make sure that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is elected for the second term, and Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia also is the vice president, we shall do it. We are encouraged by the support of the party. We are encouraged by the support of the youth wing nationwide, and we shall deliver. 4 more for Nana to do more for you. 4 more for Nana to do more for you.
Let's speak to our reporter Manuel Coranting, who's at that event for more of what the party officials have been saying. Manuel, President Bawumia was also at that event earlier. What did he say?
Well, His Excellency the Vice President Bawumia has been talking about the digitization agenda of the government. He mentions that a number of important benefits really are being raked in by the government as a result of the digitization of a number of facilities in the country. He talked about the passport office, talked about the National Identification Authority. On that score, he mentioned that about 13 million people have been registered for the Ghana card, the National Identification card. And by next year, January 2021, they're going to convert all those national identification numbers into PIN numbers. So essentially, it's going to convert about the current number of about 3 million registered taxpayers in the country to about 6 come January 2021. He's been also mentioning, a number of other things. He mentioned that the government's mobile money interoperability policy that has been implemented has made Ghana the fastest growing market for mobile money in Africa. He mentioned that at the end of 2019, there was over 200 million transactions on mobile money alone. That's against the transactions in traditional banks, a little over 590,000. And so all these things are things that they mentioned. He says that government has provided over 2 million jobs in 2 times since 2017. That's something that he's trumpeting and says that when you pitch that against, especially the former president, John Dramani Mahama, that shows that the Kufuor government delivered on.
All right, many thanks. That's Manuel Karanting reporting from that event organized by the governing MPP on the youth, because today is International Youth Day. So let's stay on the youth, because former President Mahama, in a post, has been pledging to invest in young people. Here are extracts of that post. And he says, your burning entrepreneurial spirit and initiative are exemplary even in these difficult times. We shall harness the enormous innovative and creative talents and also magnify youth participation in the governance and decision-making of our country. The major plank of my second coming as president is to deliver jobs to our youth. If we do not do this urgently, we have a time bomb ticking away. Everything, every policy and every sector will be focused on creating jobs for young people. This is anchored in our 10 billion hashtag the big push and hashtag 1 million jobs plan. Later today, Professor Opoku-Agyeman will join the youth of Ghana in a conversation to celebrate the day. And speaking of John Mahama, the former president is asking the religious leaders in the country to unite with the NDC and salvage the country's democracy. He says they cannot sit silent as the country walks through a sloppy path under the current administration. He was speaking at a meeting with the clergy to introduce his running mate, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman.
The absence of the church in the lives of our population has had a most telling impact. Your mandate as key stakeholders and development agents in our country is therefore crucial, especially with regards to the future of this great nation of ours that we all love and call our own. There have been some unfortunate developments in our country over the last few years that I'm sure you have noticed, even if you may not have publicly spoken about them. Without mincing words, I must state that we're in danger of losing our way, and today our country is at a crossroads in our democratic dispensation. We used to be the shining light and point of reference in Africa when it comes to the independence and integrity of our democratic institutions. Today, all these gains we proudly achieved as a people, as a country, are being eroded and setting us back several decades. A few days ago, I talked about the tragedy that has befallen us, and permit me to restate. I said, this particular tragedy is the destruction and politicization of our institutions, a judiciary that lacks impartiality, an oppressed parliament, a pliant electoral commission, an auditor general hounded out of office, a misused military, anti-corruption institutions in bondage, and an intimidated media, and a terrified moral society. Let me also add that, not stopping there, the future generation of young people that we are nurturing, teaching and preparing to take over from us, have been deliberately perverted because of the insatiable desire to stay in power at all costs. Almost everything that we had as a people, as a country, we had held dear and sacred, are intentionally being corrupted in furtherance of selfish political ends. But my brothers and sisters, no matter where we have belonged on the political divide, this is a time for us to unite and act together to save our country. We cannot sit silently and look on as our nation slips towards decadence and dictatorship.
Let's turn our attention on the National Peace Council now, because it wants education on vigilante acts enhanced to help the solution of all vigilante groups. Even though political parties have disbanded their vigilante groupings, land guards and warlords still exist for the same purpose. Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante says education of the act needs to be enhanced for all of such groupings to understand their existence flouts the law. Nana Yaojima was at a day's workshop on vigilantism and joins us via Zoom. Nana, so they're calling for education to be enhanced on vigilantism. Did they propose how?
So the Peace Council is also talking about the role of public institutions like the Ghana Police Service and also the Peace Council itself. And according to them, what they did in Kumasi today, that's the workshop for political parties and other actors in the political terrain, is an example of what is supposed to be done. So it's not only for the Peace Council, the Police Service, but any other groupings that is that see successful election as paramount to take up this role and ensure that these people understand what the danger their existence pose to the country's democracy.
All right. The B traditional area has lauded the Akufo-Addo-led government on delivering on promises made to chiefs and people of the Hohoe municipality in the Volta region. Citing the commencement of work on the Hohoe township roads, the divisional chief of B Abansi, Togbe Ajima, described the president as a promise keeper while asking for more developmental projects to be undertaken.
The state of access roads in the Hohoe municipality has been of great concern to residents and traditional authorities. President Akufo-Addo, during a visit to mourn with the B traditional area on the demise of the late vociferous traditional ruler, assured the roads would be constructed.
I promised him that when I came, I would do the town roads of Hohoe. But the way arrangements in government are, it is only after he's gone that I've been able to honor this promise. But it is a promise that I've kept in his memory, and the town roads of Hohoe are being.
Contracts for the construction of 15.2 kilometers and asphalting of 15 kilometers of existing roads in Hohoe were thereafter awarded. In early August, First Sky and Justmo construction companies began works on the projects, which included Picnic Roads, Vekusime Road, Togbe Baho Street, Peme Roads, Bla Roads, Hohoe Alabato Junction, among others. This development received applause from the B traditional authorities. Divisional Chief of B Abansi, Togbe Ajima V, addressed a press conference on behalf of the 9 divisions of the traditional area.
We are gathered here this morning to acknowledge the massive and aggressive road construction works ongoing on the main Vegbe-Hohoe Trunk Road, Hohoe Township roads, and other development projects within the Hohoe municipality in fulfillment of the President's promise.
But that's how we wrap up today's edition of Election Brief with me, Araba Kumsin. Join us same time tomorrow. As you remember, it's 1:30 to 2 p.m. here on your election headquarters. Sports Today is up next.